Do you know what the leading cause of death for pregnant people is?
Pregnant people? Mm-hmm. Mothers? Women?
If you'd like to call them mothers, not all of them are mothers, but if you'd like to call them that.
What are they if they're not mothers?
They're pregnant people.
Huh? What people other than mothers are pregnant?
Does it bother you to use inclusive language?
Well,
it's just interesting.
I prefer to use precise language.
It's interesting because you come into this conversation, you know, trying to hold this moral superiority, but then when I
try to be moral when I can, but I...
Right, but when I use inclusive language, which it only takes a couple extra syllables to use inclusive language.
To include
and
who?
It seems to include people who don't, identify as women but can become pregnant.
Like a person who's born a woman and then identifies as a man and is pregnant.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that in order to be a moral person, I need to accept the idea that a man, someone who is born a man and looks like a man, can really become a woman. That's a prerequisite of my being a moral person.
Yes.
Not a chance.
I want to be accepting and I want to respect people's life experiences and respect the way that they want to identify and respect the way that they want to present themselves to the world.
Bronte, I would like to identify, I do identify actually, I identify as being correct and more correct than you on this issue. And I would just ask that you accept and affirm my identity.
Gotcha.
And yet, just another example of stupid woke logic being turned against itself and crumbling. When she starts feeling a little bit triggered, she accuses him of holding some kind of moral superiority, when in reality he was just holding common sense. And what's hilarious is this woman's a feminist, yet she won't use the term mother. And I've seen a lot of this going about lately from other feminists like her, where they refer to women and motherhood as like chest feeders or birthing people. And so it just seems a little bit backwards to me that you claim to be a feminist and a stalwart defender of women's rights, yet you won't even give the respect due to motherhood, you know, that one thing that only women can do. And devaluing women and mothers like that comes across as pretty misogynistic, don't you think? And while I would say that more women should be more outraged about this, I've been looking through some of the comments and it seems to be that there already are a lot of women that are upset about this. Take a look at a couple of these comments. One woman said, "If someone calls me a pregnant person after all that labour and pain, we are fighting." 24 hours of labour and there's no way you call me pregnant people or cis or whatever.
So is your view of feminism that it is pointless because there can never be egalitarianism?
Well, so just earlier, no offense, I'm just going to point this out so that you know, you spoke out of two sides of your mouth. You said, I don't believe that men would collectively come together to use some kind of force against women. But when I asked, why would you need feminism then, you said, well, because we need to have some kind of force to protect ourselves from the patriarchy. Well, both of these things cannot be true at the same time. This is where we come to what we call Schrodinger's feminist, which is, I'm a strong, empowered woman, but also a victim at the same exact time. So what's really going on is you're fighting the patriarchy by at the same time appealing to it. Because they're going to be the enforcers, right?
I can agree with that. I don't think it's good. I don't enjoy that situation.
So why not just have patriarchy? If that's the case, that you're appealing to it anyway in order to enforce your rights inside of it, why not just submit to patriarchy?
Do we need men? Do we need men?
No.
Do we need men?
No.
Do we need men?
No.
Why?
Because we can be strong independent women.
Okay.
Do we need men?
No.
Do we need men?
Honestly, no.
Do we need men?
No.
Why?
Because they suck.
Are you sure about that?
You need men though.
We don't need them.
We do.
No, because they're lesbians.
Who do you call to get your car fixed? A man or a woman? Your toilet breaks down. Who do you call?
So I fix my own car.
What life?
Your power supply. Who runs it? Who runs the infrastructure of society? Men or women?
Oh, at the moment, men, obviously,
Yeah,
because of patriarchy.
so
I'm obsessed with being a woman in a male-dominated industry. I do all of my own carpentry.
Can we go back
I do all my own, like...
Right, but regardless of that, like, you agree that men run the infrastructure, so therefore
Oh, at the moment, yeah, men run the world.
We need men.
On a wider scale, yes. On a personal scale, no. Because you don't need a man to provide for you.
We need men to run the industries that keep us alive and well.
Not necessarily, no.
So,
because I know female mechanics, engineers, carpenters.
But remember that's exception. Like, those industries are like 99% male.
Yeah, but for now, we can change that.
Do we want to change that?
Thomas had never seen such bullshit before.
You're having a laugh, bruv. Did this woman just say that she does all her own carpentry? Does this woman look like she does her own carpentry? I bet she's never held a chisel in her life. The only joint she's seen is the one she smoked before coming up with that stupid comment. It's actually quite sad that there's a lot of women out there that have this opinion on men, because there are a lot of good guys out there that are just trying to keep to themselves, working hard to provide for themselves and their families. And a lot of these women that hold this type of opinion for guys are the ones that just got into shitty relationships and chose the wrong guy to begin with and got hurt, and their bitterness just causes them to harbour this resentment towards men. But what they fail to realise is that when they say that they don't need men, are they referring to their own fathers as well, or their brothers, or if they have sons, their sons? It just makes no sense. It's idiocy. And when men are asked, do we need women, it's a completely different response. Here's a little example, have a look.
Do we need women?
Yes.
We do. Why?
These women are awesome.
Do we need women?
Of course.
Why?
They're beautiful.
Do we need women?
Women make us feel compassionate and affectionate.
Do we need women?
Of course we do.
Do we need women?
Yes.
Why?
Because they're hot.
And what else?
They're hot.
Do we need women?
I mean, shit, unless you're gay.
Do we need women?
Do we need women?
Yeah.
Yes, who's gonna do my dishes?
Feminism is a scam. A few years ago, I was an angry, blue-haired feminist. I once believed that male privilege was real, and that I was a victim of the wage gap. Now that I understand the true motives of feminism, I know that this could not be further from the truth, and that modern-day feminism is a war on true masculinity. Before women had the right to vote, most were stay-at-home wives, which meant they weren't working jobs and couldn't be taxed. Our overlords didn't like that. Rockefeller started funding feminist campaigns in media, and as a consequence of the movement, women started entering the workforce and leaving the home. Children would then be separated from their parents and sent to Rockefeller-funded schools to be indoctrinated by the state. All of this ultimately disrupting the family unit at its core. Feminism is defined as the belief in social, economic, and political equality of the sexes. But in the West, I must ask, what rights do men have that women don't? Modern feminists are convincing women that hookup culture, using hormonal birth control, and not shaving is liberation. That toxic masculinity is prevalent and the patriarchy must be dismantled. Through movies and media, we're taught that working for the man, climbing the corporate ladder, and paying tax is more empowering and valuable than raising the next generation. Women have lost touch with our natural loving instincts, and birth rates are plummeting. Men and women are not the same. And by protesting for equality of outcome rather than opportunity, feminists are demonizing and emasculating men.
You smart.
That it's okay to be a man.
It's not okay. It's necessary. What the hell are we going to do without men? You look around the city here, you see all these buildings go up, these men, they're doing impossible things. They're under the streets, working on the sewers, they're up on the power lines, in the storms and the rain. They're keeping this impossible infrastructure functioning, this thing that works in a miraculous manner. They work themselves to death, and often literally. The gratitude for that is sorely lacking, especially among the people who should be most grateful, failing to understand entirely that there's a massive infrastructure of unbelievably hardworking, solidly laboring, working-class men breaking themselves in half on a regular basis, making sure that everything that always breaks works.
That's what I'm talking about! That's why he's the GOAT!
I don't understand where the "we don't need men" argument is even an argument. But the saddest part about it is that it's women's reaction in an age where men have expressed that they feel like the only value that they bring into a relationship or to the world is what they can provide. They talk about how they feel like they are not born with innate value like women are. So the reaction is to tell them, no, actually, that's not so valuable because we can actually do all that stuff ourselves. It's so messed up.
Women need men and men need women, and that's it. There's no getting around it. We each have our strengths and our weaknesses, and there's nothing wrong in saying that. We're supposed to be compatible with each other. And yeah, I get it's not always perfect, but life doesn't come with a manual. We're just working this shit out as we go along. But when people start going against the grain of the status quo, it starts to have a profound effect on society, as we're currently seeing today with radical feminism that feels like it's been building up for decades. But yeah, you know, these women say that they can do the things that men can do, and while that may be true in some cases, I guarantee you that most of these women wouldn't want to do some of the shitty jobs that men do if they didn't have to. But hey, what do I know? I'm just some guy that posts memes on the internet. So here's some faith restored back into that humanity with a bunch of clips of men and dads being awesome. Check it out. that's pretty much the end of the video. Thanks for watching, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.
What the fuck do DJs actually do? Do.